All right. We are back after I don't even know how many months we've been off exactly, but probably since the Kings won the Stanley Cup is the last time we did a show. This is the Mighty Dave Show. It was the D4 Mighty Dave Show, but we don't actually know how many Daves are going to be here this year, so for now it's just the Mighty Dave Show. I got Dave Bearding with me, and I am Dave Gove, and we are here to talk about hockey. Dave, how are you tonight?
You know, I'm all right.
Your Minnesota Wild are playing tonight in my town of Anaheim,
Yes.
and I really wanted to go to that because I think that the Minnesota Wild could win their division, and I really wanted to watch them beat the Ducks. But they've gotten off to a hot start.
To be fair, they faced a Colorado team that hasn't really been playing their best.
That's true, and that's one thing we are going to get into in a little bit, but that is actually a huge deal this week for Colorado is that their goaltending's been A, terrible, and B, hurt now. So
Yep.
I think a lot of people expected Colorado to regress, but this is just going to compound the problem for them. I think that it'll be interesting if either Brizgalov or Brodeur goes to Colorado, but I don't think Brodeur will. But I don't know why they wouldn't try out Brizgalov there. Now, you guys dropped Brizgalov. You guys did not sign him after his tryout. And obviously Darcy Kemper's been playing great, but do you think, based on the preseason he had with the Wild, that there is still a chance that he might go to Colorado or somewhere else?
Yeah, I would say so, especially for a team like Colorado that's kind of in a desperation mode. If not, I think it'd at least be something to look at. Because Briz is a capable goaltender. I mean, people want to say he's crappy, and I mean, he kind of is, but I don't think he's as crappy as people say. And I think for Colorado, he'd probably be a better option than what they're going with now, depending on how long Bear is out.
Do you think that if we're not sure how long Varlamov's going to be out, or Berra based on his injury last night, with how competitive that division was last season and how competitive it's expected to be this season, how long do you think Colorado can go without a number one goaltender and still be competitive and possibly be in the playoff chase?
It's kind of hard to tell since it's this early in the season. And I mean, they're only, 3-4 games in?
But they look terrible so far. I mean, you guys look great, the Wild, in those two games, but they also look terrible. So,
I mean, I'd give it a week if they don't sign a goalie then, and they're just going to kind of roll with whoever no name is in net. If after a week things aren't working right, then it'd probably start taking a serious look at getting someone signed, depending on, like I said, it's going to depend on how long Bear is out.
what would you think of them making a play for somebody like James Reimer? Or do you think Toronto's pretty committed to the two-goalie system right now?
I'd say Toronto's committed, and I really don't see any reason why. Unless they want to make an early season trade, but I mean, I just don't think that'd be wise with two goalies out, and then all of a sudden just making a trade for another goalie. I guess what they could do.
Depending on how long one of those guys is out.
Yeah.
I mean, Toronto's already. I mean, if Toronto goaltenders are already going to be used to facing as many shots as they do in Colorado, so.
I think it'd be interesting. You'd have to wonder what they'd have to give up to get Reimer.
I don't. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be a trade that could benefit both teams for sure. It'd just be a question of what Colorado would have to give up to get Reimer and what Colorado would be willing to actually give up.
Well, in the Central, I know that usually we don't start with the Central in anything as far as hockey discussion goes, but since you're here, We are going to discuss just a breakdown of the league. Why don't we start with the Central, and you tell us how you see the Central going this season?
So it's going to be between three teams. It's going to be between Chicago, St. Louis, and Minnesota, battling for first. First game, especially with the Wild, I'll just speak for them. With the lineup, Parise, Granlund, and Pominville, if they keep making plays like they did in the first game and even in the second game, they're going to be one of the most deadly lines in the league, I think.
They look like it so far.
Yeah. Plus, they have Vanek too, and I think it's only going to be a matter of time until, if that line just keeps producing, then there's no reason to break them up. But if they somehow hit a slump and Yale needs to shake it up a little, then I wouldn't be surprised to see Vanek and Pominville centered by Koivu, or I'd actually love to see him centered by Haula. I think that'd be a fantastic line. But regardless, we have scoring depth, which is something we desperately needed. D-core's looking pretty solid, and goaltending's a big question mark, especially with Kemper because he has less than 50 NHL starts, so you have no idea how he's going to perform. It's been said that Yale's said that we're going to be splitting time. We're going to kind of run a Toronto system where we're splitting time with both netminders, but you'd be silly to think that Backstrom's a co-number one goalie with Kemper. The big question is going to be when Harding actually does come back from his off-ice injury that he got and his suspension as well. What's going to happen there? But until that time, for the next 2 or 3 months, I think we're going to be fine.
Okay. So if you were to rank the teams in the Central right now, tell me who you think is going to finish where and how many teams in that division are going to make the playoffs.
I think we'll see. Let me pull up the division standings because I can't.
Well, Nashville's number one right now. I don't think anybody except for Nashville fans think that they're going to maybe finish there. I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility for them to get a playoff spot because they were the 9th team in the West last year. So that's a possibility, but I don't think that they're going to be able to maintain that.
I almost want to go out on a limb and say that there's going to be 6 playoff teams in the Central, but I know it's going to be wrong.
That's not even possible.
You know what? I don't care. It's been a long offseason.
Central's going to be like, fuck it, NHL. We're making a new rule.
Yep.
We're taking over one of the Pacific spots.
Whatever. Anyway. All right, going back to last year, we'll see 5. I think the playoff teams that we saw last year are going to make it in, which were Colorado, St. Louis, Chicago, Minnesota, and Dallas. I think we'll see those 5 in. And the reason I say that is because in the Pacific, the only team I see with a realistic shot of making the playoffs, outside of Anaheim, San Jose, and LA, probably be Phoenix or Vancouver. But
no, I just meant in the Central. So you,
yeah,
I see what you're saying. So you think that
it's going to be the same 5 teams. As far as who I think is going to win the division, Cheese and Crow. A big fuck you to Ari. I'm going to say Minnesota's going to win the division.
Ooh. Ari has some questions for you if you didn't notice.
I'm not on Twitter. So I'm going to say Minnesota wins the division. I'm going to say Chicago gets 2nd, St. Louis 3rd. I'll say Dallas 4th, and Colorado 5th.
I like it. I like the homerism, but I also like all the teams that you pick because those are the same teams I would have picked too. Although I don't think Minnesota's going to win that division. I think Chicago will, but I think Minnesota's going to come in 2nd. I think that there's just something about St. Louis that even though they have so much talent, it's like they have a great coach who's won a Stanley Cup.
Well, they're a great team in the regular season, but they can't pull together.
Something doesn't click for them every year, and it's hard to put your foot on it exactly. I know that St. Louis fans will probably chime in and tell us exactly what's wrong and why Steve Ott's a terrible person and things like this. But I got to go with Chicago, Minnesota, St. Louis, Dallas, and then Nashville. I think Colorado and Winnipeg are not going to make it in.
I think Colorado
is going to battle for that last wild card spot. I really do.
I think Colorado makes it in, but they're not going to have a season like last year.
No, not even close.
No. Honestly, I really don't care as long as Minnesota finishes ahead of Chicago. That's all I want. That's all I want for Christmas.
All right. Well, speaking of Chicago, we have some questions for you.
Alrighty.
Ari asks, how do you both have such abysmal taste in hockey teams for otherwise cool people? Well, that's just hurtful.
My answer is shut up, Ari.
I am pretty cool, so I appreciate that, Ari. Second question. What Taylor Swift song best represents your team?
Oh, God.
I honestly couldn't tell you the name of a Taylor Swift song, so I'm going to go with... I don't know, dude. I've seen her in a Kings jersey, though. She looks hot in it. I think that she should stick with rooting for us.
She's been in... Okay, to be fair...
I know, she's been in many, but in my mind, she's really a Kings fan, and the rest were just her pandering to her audience.
No, she's a Predators fan.
I know.
Okay, for the Kings, I'm going to say Treacherous from Red, her latest album.
I'll agree with you, because I don't know any better.
Let's see, for the Wild... You know what? No. You know what, for the Wild, I'm going to do this. Her recent single, Shake It Off, came out a few weeks ago. I'm going to say that's the Wild right there, because everyone always says how shitty we are.
Good enough. I don't think you're shitty. And I think that you can give everybody a big middle finger later this season when you guys make it to the conference finals.
Yep, that's what I think, too.
Or you're going to lose to the Kings, but it's cool.
We'll cross the bridge when we get there.
Yeah. How many goaltending... Ari asks, how many... Uh-oh. What happened? Oh, you're still there? I don't know what the sound was in the background, but Google's playing with me. Ari asks, how many goaltender injuries until Patrick Waugh says, fuck it, and laces up? Oh, man.
I'm going to say...
That would be so amazing to watch.
If their current goalie gets injured, I think Waugh's going to seriously... I think he's going to come back on the bench with the pillows on his legs and just stand there just in case.
Oh,
I think for
way back in the day.
I think for hilarity's sake, I think it'd be hilarious if the Avs at least gave Brodeur a tryout. Again, Marty doesn't really strike me as the kind that would take too well being taught under Waugh, because from what I'm told, Marty has some serious ego issues, which doesn't really surprise me.
Way back in the day, man, I am drawing a blank right now. I think it was Lester Patrick. I know somebody's going to correct me. K-Mad will if he hears this, but I think Lester Patrick was coaching the Rangers, and they got hurt. Their goaltenders got hurt, and he actually stepped in as coach and won a game in the Stanley Cup final for the Rangers. I'm almost 100% positive it was Lester Patrick, but somebody will correct me on that. But it's one of those great stories from hockey history. Ari wants to remind us that yesterday was Paul Kariya's birthday. Awesome. Cool. He lives in Orange County still. He's still friends with Solani.
I'm just going to say, what happened in Game 6, Ari?
Ouch. Ouch.
Sorry, not sorry.
Oh. Since we're sticking with the Central still, Ari's saying, are the Preds as good as they've looked? Because they look good. I personally think they are as good as they look, and I think if Pecorine continues to play well and gets back to his old form, and Weber is as awesome as Weber always is, and Seth Jones has had another year to mature, Roman Yossi's good.
They have James Neal too.
Yeah, their offense is better. I mean, if Mike Fisher ever comes back this season and plays at least as well as he did last season, they have a team.
Still there?
And I think off the top of my head, I think they lost like. Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, Google's messing up, dude. Something's going on with the Google. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Um, I think if I remember correctly, they lost like 13 shootouts last year, or they were like, or they were just terrible last year in shootouts. So if they can improve that, and with their improved offense, I think they'll be a playoff team.
I don't know.
I know
I
you
mean,
disagree.
yeah, defensively, I think they're easily one of the best. But Neal is a much needed player, but I don't think one player is gonna change your offense around completely, especially because Neal doesn't have Malkin feeding him the puck. No,
Ari confirmed that
so
Lester Patrick is correct, by the way.
well, thank you, Ari. Anyway, before I was rudely interrupted by Ari, I wouldn't say this year they're going to playoff team. Next year, I think they need to make the playoffs. I'll say that.
Okay, well, let's move on. Since we're still in the West here, let's go to the Pacific, where the Sharks look really good so far. The Kings look pretty good so far.
The Sharks always look good, but
I know they do. I know the Sharks. God, the Sharks always look good, and I always love watching them lose.
They always look good, and then it comes playoff time, and look what happens.
Oh, it's like Clayton Kershaw. Oh wait, God, my heart still hurts a little bit. Yeah, the Sharks. Everybody made such a big deal about them not doing anything.
Well, they really didn't.
Signing John Scott, and yeah, they really didn't. But what did they need to do, really? I mean, who else was out there this offseason that they could have picked up that really would have improved that team that much? They got rid of Dan Boyle, who was probably old anyway, in my opinion. He's broken now, too.
How old is he? He's 37? 36, 37? He's old.
Basically ancient, and that's all that really matters. And he couldn't hang in the Pacific anymore. So they shipped him off to a weaker division.
Good old Metropolitan.
And he still got broken there.
Yep.
So
speaking of broken, how's old Gabrick doing there?
Oh, he's broken too. And we have him for a few more years. Sweet.
Once you ride that pain train, you're on there for life.
Player who played really well in the playoffs last year. If he plays like that and is healthy by playoff time and plays like that again, then it's all worth it. Who cares?
Very true.
If the Kings make it back to even the conference final, you recoup as much as you paid for him. So.
How much is his contract?
It's only like $4 million a year.
That's not bad at all.
Not even that. Like off the top of my head, I think it's like 3.5.
But yeah, that's really good. For a guy like Gabrick, especially with his age and how often he gets injured.
The only thing is, I think we have him for 5 years. It's ridiculous. 6 years, awesome. 7 years.
Well, he's only 32. I want to say.
His cap hit is 4.8.
Oh, that's a little rough.
That is a little rough. But yeah, he's only 32. He's younger than I am. Way to go. Anyway, in the Pacific, I personally, even though I love my Kings, they never win the division. I don't think they'll win the division again. I think they'll finish second or third to the Ducks and San Jose. And then after that, the rest of the division's pretty much terrible right now. I mean, Vancouver is 2-0, but I don't really. I'm
gonna say Vancouver gets fourth in the Pacific, but
I do too. Calgary is playing okay, but one of their wins was a 49 save effort from Jonas Hiller against Chicago.
And he's also let in like 7 goals on pretty low number of shots. I got the number.
He's not doing
7 goals on
fantastic except for
73
that one
shots in his
game.
first 2 games.
Arizona's won a couple games, but they have also let in 12 goals already through 3 games. That's a little bit interesting to me in that usually Dave Tippett coach teams are better defensively, and it's their offense that struggles.
Yeah.
And Google's being awesome again because you cut out for a second. But I'm just a little bit surprised that they're not playing as well defensively. Speaking of poor defense, though, Edmonton.
Yeah.
Edmonton's already given up 23 goals. They gave up 6 goals and 7 goals in back-to-back nights.
You have to wonder if Justin Schultz is regretting his decision to not go to the Ducks.
You mean, would he rather be on a Stanley Cup contending team than be stuck out in the middle of nowhere?
No, I'm not asking. I'm saying he has to be regretting
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're terrible right now. And we already have one jersey on the ice thrown in Edmonton. Or it wasn't a jersey, it was a hoodie. And the great part about that is if you saw the picture, the guy's phone was still in the hoodie and it was lying on the ice. Way to go, Edmonton fans. Not only is your team terrible, but your fans throwing shit on the ice is terrible too.
When they start throwing food objects on the ice, that's when it'll be hilarious.
I do feel a little bit bad for the hardcores because I do have a friend who's from Edmonton, and he grew up in obviously the Gretzky era, but man, they got to turn around at some point. Anyway, as we were saying, I think that it's pretty obvious that the top 3 teams in this division are the California teams, and you could pretty much pick and choose which one you think will end in which of the top 3 spots. I'm picking Anaheim to win the division, LA to be second, and Sharks to be third. And then I'm picking Vancouver, Arizona, Calgary, and Edmonton, which is really no surprise there.
Pretty much the same, except swap San Jose and LA.
Okay. And as far as playoff teams, yeah, I agree with you. I think only the 3 California teams make the playoffs out of the Pacific.
Yeah.
Yep. Right now, I got the Detroit-Toronto game on in the background. Detroit's winning 1-0 after 1. Columbus is taking it to Calgary 3-0. Florida is winning against Buffalo. Buffalo can't even beat Florida. It's kind of sad. And Nashville and Winnipeg are just getting started. Winnipeg has actually surprised me slightly in that they look more competitive than I thought they would be. I know they're still in last in that division, and a lot of people thought they would be, but they're at least playing okay, even though they're losing.
I mean, it's only
3 games. I know. It's only 3.
So it's...
Well, Pavlik played well in the preseason, too. Anyway.
This is going to be his bounce-back year. I can feel it.
This game going on right now, Detroit and Toronto. I think that this matchup might be the same matchup you see towards the end of the year for one of the last playoff spots. It's a battle between these 2 teams. They're both in the Atlantic. I think that so far in the Atlantic, Montreal looks really good. Tampa Bay looks good. Boston has not looked good.
Nope.
And that is surprising. They obviously won the President's Trophy last year. A lot of people picked them to win the division again this year. I think the majority of quote-unquote experts picked Boston to win that division. But what do you think is wrong with Boston right now? Was Boychuk really that important to them? Was Jerome McGinley?
Well, I was watching. Yeah, I'd say. Well, I'd say Gimlo, was a big piece, but at the same time, too, he has not looked good at all to start out the season. Um, I think it was I was watching Hockey Night in Canada, and I can't remember who pointed this out, but somebody pointed out that the Bruins really aren't that intimidating of a team anymore. They just don't have that scare factor um, that you would kind of get, especially like in the playoffs too, because they mentioned that um, the Bruins with how they play, they just try to beat the crap out of you. Um, but Montreal was kind of the first team that really stood up to them and took it to them. And obviously, we'd see what happened there. They knocked them out of the playoffs. So I think that might have a small bit to it. They just don't seem that intimidating. Like they seem beatable. Put it that way. Because I know last year everybody had them. A lot of people had them picked to be in the Cup finals.
I don't. I mean, you can't ever count out Boston right now because of the talent that they have
Yeah.
in their system.
Regardless, I think they're going to be top 3 in that division.
Oh, for sure.
Easy.
I
don't know if they'll get first, but second or third.
I think that might be the worst division in hockey right now, aside from the top 3. I mean, Ottawa. No, I take that back. That's hard to say. Because the Pacific is not that good beside the top 3 teams. So.
Yeah, but look at the.
No, I stand by that because I would take the top 3 teams in the Pacific over the top 3 of Montreal, Tampa Bay, and Boston. And then after that, it's all kind of crappy in the Atlantic.
Yeah, I mean,
there's nobody that I really like beyond those 3, and it's all going to be just a battle for whatever. Yeah, and those might be the only 3 teams from that division to make the playoffs.
In the Atlantic?
Yeah. Because I think that Toronto probably won't make it, and Detroit might make it, but right now I see Montreal winning that division with the way that things are being played right now. Tampa Bay will be number 2, and Tampa Bay or Boston will be number 2.
Mm-hmm.
You have a battle between the rest of these teams, and I just don't see. There's just nobody good. Toronto obviously has Corsi issues. Detroit's old. Buffalo's terrible. Florida's on the rise, but they're still struggling to score goals.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would say Florida's on the rise. I would say I thought Florida would be on the rise. They have 3 goals through 3 games. Their power play still looks just as terrible as last year.
I think they'll break 70 points if they're lucky.
I think Ottawa could end up being the 4th team in that division. Ottawa's, I mean, they've played some terrible teams so far, but they've not looked terrible so far.
I think if Detroit can stay healthy, they'll probably make the playoffs. But if they run into issues like they had last year, I think this is going to be the first year that they're not in it.
Now, a lot of people are saying that. I think that maybe though Babcock will prove everybody wrong.
Oh, I'm sure he will. Yeah, there's always the Babcock factor. But
who finishes worse in that division, Buffalo or Florida?
Buffalo.
I agree. All right.
Florida still has some semblance of talent on that team. Buffalo, outside of Gergensons and I think Hodgson. They have Molson too, but I don't know how much he can actually bring to that team.
Here's Johnny asks, or it says, in response to the question, what's wrong with the Bruins? He says, Boychuk and any sense of urgency and self-motivation.
Yeah, I can see that. They looked pretty flat last night against the Habs.
But they've always been such a disciplined team. It seems. Do you think Claude Julien's run his course there? Do you think that?
No.
I don't think so. I think that he's still a great coach. Chara has always been known to be an amazing leader because of his drive. So
Yeah,
I'm wondering, and everybody says Patrice Bergeron would easily be captain on any other team if Chara wasn't already a captain there. So they have good leadership. I don't like when you say lack of self-motivation, I'm wondering where you see that, or who do you think maybe needs to step it up then?
Well, Lucic.
Lucci's has been terrible.
Yeah, he really. I mean, he needs to put some points on the board, but I think once you get Lucic rolling, then that's when the team will actually start getting. Holy crap! I cannot speak. Once Lucic gets rolling, that team will start rolling. But until because as much hate as Lucic gets, I mean, that guy's he's an emotional leader. I'll put it that way. I'm not sure how much of a locker room leader he is, but that guy, to me, he strikes me more as he leads on the ice. And Dave's computer died, so. But hello, listeners. You're listening to Smooth James with Birdbag. Let's see. What can we talk about? Oh, we can talk about how much I hate Matt Cook. That'd be a fun topic. Let's see here. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to talk about that because I'm going to say something I'll regret. So, let's check scores. Columbus is, at the end of the second, Columbus is up 3-0 on Calgary. Florida's up 1-0 on Buffalo at the end of the second. Detroit and Toronto are... Detroit's up 1-0 with 14:33 left in the second, and Nashville and Winnipeg are still at 0-0. So I'm going to see what Dave needs to get back in. Ari says I should start singing, and I'm not going to sing. Because I don't even like hearing me sing. Let's see. I guess I could ask some questions until Dave gets back. So predictions for the listeners. What do we think, or what do you think the highest attendance total will be for the Florida Panthers? Because obviously they haven't had a good start this season so far at home. I think they had 11,000, just over 11,000 one game, and then the game against the Senators they had just over 7,000, which was not good at all. Anyway, sorry, I'm distracted. Let's see. What else? There's we could also take predictions on when we think Toronto's going to have their midseason collapse. Usually it's halfway through the season, so around January. Usually after the All-Star break is when they start going down, so we can predict that. What else? There's also. I would also like to say my Devils are 3-1 so far. They are second in the Metro Division. Had a pretty ugly loss against Capitals, but I guess that's what happens. Jake Huzzle sucks. I don't think the Islanders are off to a really good start, 4-0 or 4-0. I don't think that's going to hold up. I don't think we did predictions yet for the Metro Division, so I'll give you mine. I think Pittsburgh's probably going to be top again. I don't really see any reason why they wouldn't be. New York, I think the Rangers could challenge that one, but it's totally going to depend, especially with Rick Nash. If I remember right, they didn't really lose anyone, but I don't think they gained anyone either in the offseason. But as it stands right now, Metro, Pittsburgh, Rangers. I'm going to say Columbus gets third. Last year they were fourth. But I think this year, especially Joel Hansen, he's off to a really hot start. Even after missing all training camp with a contract dispute. I think Columbus will take third. I think for that wild card spot, we're going to see it's going to be between the Flyers and Washington. All right, let me change that to 3. Flyers, Washington, and New Jersey. I think those 3 teams right there, those teams are going to be fighting for the wild card. Okay, Ari wants to know who will win the All-Star game. I'm going to go with the West because look who they'll have to pick from. And I guarantee you all the Western teams or the players that come from the West teams are going to be from the playoff teams with a couple. I mean, Shea Weber will get picked as well, obviously. Albright Larson, I would expect to get an invite. Sedins will get an invite as well. And even though Vancouver is possibly a playoff team, I mean, the Sedins are the Sedins, especially with Verbata on their line too. I think they're going to have a dynamite year. Let's see. When will Crosby get injured? Well, if omens are any sign, Pascal Dupuis took a puck to the throat, and we wish him a speedy recovery. But I think with the way the pucks are tracking the Penguins early, I think Crosby's time is going to be due here. I will predict the injury that he's going to get. I'm going to say that Crosby gets concussed by taking a puck off the back of the. He's going to get dome pieced right in the back. Let's see. Why do I hate the Islanders? The area Metro rival. I wish them nothing but failure because New Jersey master race. And thank you, Ari, for sending me questions. Let's see. I guess, okay, I'll talk about the first 2 games, or I'll talk about the first game against Colorado. That was a advanced statistician's wet dream right there. Because even though our series went to 7 games, everybody was saying that Colorado's possession numbers weren't good enough to keep up with Minnesota's because I think our Corsi percentage was about 55%, and our Fenwick wasn't too far behind that either. Colorado's on the other end was terrible. I don't have the number exactly, the exact number on me, but that series went to 7. Minnesota won on an OT winner from Nino Niederreiter. And the first game of the season, which would be